We're here at TechEd 2012 in Europe. Next to me is Mikael Nystrom and Johan Arwidmark, both guys from Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So tell me, Johan, what are you here for? Speaking.
Well, yeah, this week I have, or me and Michael have, a bunch of presentations related to deployment and management. So we started Monday and we had, Michael did a full pre-conference session on MDT 2012 and I did pre-conference sessions, or 5 of them, on Config Manager 2012. So we were in separate rooms, but we were talking at the same time about similar content, but with different management platforms, of course. Other than that, we do workshops this week, letting people know how to implement a deployment solution in their environment. And we have I have 4 additional breakouts, and I don't remember if Michael had 4 or 5, but something like that. Yeah. All related to deployment or management.
Yeah, because you're pretty famous about that, right? About your deployment part.
Well, I've been doing deployment now for 20 some years, and I've been blogging and posting stuff online since 1994, which is quite a long time by now. So yes, people normally know me.
Some people tell me that there's a couple of guys that know every single file of the MDT.
Yeah, more or less.
That's you guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah, close to.
But the fun story about doing this stuff at TechEd here is that we did the same type of sessions in TechEd in Orlando 2 weeks ago, and all of them were recorded and are available online for download now.
Including PowerPoints.
Including PowerPoints,
yes.
including MP4 files if you want to listen them to in your phone or in the car or whatever, and of course the videos, the actual recordings. Yeah. And if you do a search for PowerShell and TechEd sessions, you can actually find a PowerShell script that will download them all for you.
Hey, cool.
That's cool. 100 gig download
all the
though.
Sessions. Ah.
Yes. You can also say I want only the client track or the management track, but it's cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's not really supported by Microsoft though, but it works perfectly fine.
Hey, if it works, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, that's
If it works, it works.
So you are into SCCM,
What?
and well, I know you from MDT as well. So what happened?
No, I used to be a OS deployment MVP.
Yes.
But the last 2 years I've been more focused on doing OSD with Config Manager. So that's why I switched the MVP thing into Config Manager, because I expect to work with that the next few years as well. Michael here, he also does Config Manager stuff, but he's been focusing more on the MDT side of things.
Yeah. And at the same time, more of the, instead of doing the configuration manager stuff, I'm doing the system center virtual machine manager stuff. So Johan has always been doing, I wouldn't say 100% clients because you're not doing that, but you do a little bit more client than I do because I do a little more of the service side. So I'm somewhere between the data center and the client side, which means for me configuration manager is not 100%. It's a part of it together with the rest of the system center platform. So now it's System Center Virtual Machine Manager, Configuration Manager, Orchestrator, Service Manager, God knows everything, together with MDT.
Together with MDT.
Yeah.
Because you have 4 or 5 breakout sessions here?
Yes.
So which one, if you would pick one, which one is the one to watch?
The one that we're running tomorrow. Isn't that tomorrow? No, it's on tomorrow, the 405. It's a 400 level session that it started out.
You're doing that together?
Yeah, we do it together.
The troubleshooting session, right?
The troubleshooting session. It's a very simple session. It was based on the fact that someone called us a couple of years ago and said, we need someone to do an interactive session. Can you do that? I said, yeah. Okay, so submit a topic. It's, you know, top 10 deployment issues and answers. Took a week, and I said, can you turn it into a breakout session? Yeah, we can do that too.
Of course.
And we've been doing that session for, oh God, I don't know. Is it
4 or 5 conferences now,
no.
something like that.
It's always packed, and we also always have a bunch of questions, and it's a very open. It's not really a breakout. It's more of an interactive.
It's a mix.
A mix.
Yeah, we have to collect the questions, and people ask every kind of question. Some of them are easy. Some of them are
more challenging.
Yeah, and some of them is sorry, you can't do that.
But of course, you have questions that repeats itself every time you do the session, right? What are the top issues people have with deployment?
Well, it turns to be
Drivers?
quite
Is it
simple.
drivers again?
Drivers and pixie booting typically stands out. BitLocker typically stands
Yeah.
out, and how to do BIOS configurations during deployment.
But there's one other question that always stands out, and this is the. I've been trying to use the Wake toolkit to create my own unattended XML file, and it kind of works. And together with WDS, it kind of works. Do I really need to spend any time on that MDT stuff? I mean, I can almost create it without that, so I don't really see the point.
And at that point, you get that itching in your hand.
Yeah.
You just want to, but you
And
can't
then
really do that.
Yeah, and then they explain. I go, yeah. But still, I can almost do that. So, just give me the small bits and pieces. And it's like, no, you're in the wrong direction. There's no way you're going to finish that. It's a dead end. Just don't do it. So it is the two things: getting people on the right track. That is the major question at every conference. And when they are on that track, then the next generation question comes: BIOS, hardware,
Yes.
server deployment. We have something really. There is situations, strange hardware. You've been doing crazy hardware.
I have deployed the Martini mixer once.
A what?
A Martini mixer running Windows Embedded.
Oh, cool.
That's
and that worked.
Of course.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
and I think on my end,
Config Manager supports deploying embedded.
Yeah.
It's embedded.
so I did the deployment of Windows 7 for a online gaming facility. 650 machines running all kinds of games. It's an internet
It
cafe.
was not the number of the machines that
No.
impressed me, it was the size of the image Michael deployed.
Yeah, about 350 gigs of gaming data. So how do you deploy that? And we was the WDS multicast, and it's like, no way. So we figured out a solution in the end. So we use command line based
BitTorrent.
BitTorrent.
That's how you
It's like,
deployed the
what?
350 gig
Yeah,
image.
because we were forced to redeploy the entire facility in less than 20 hours.
And that's 650 computers times
A lot of
350 gigs.
Yeah, do the math. It's
Oh.
a lot of data. But other from that,
Yeah,
I would
good.
say one of the most common reasonings you need to take is you have a customer, they are running Config Manager, for example, and then they hear MDT and they say, no, we're not going to use MDT. And they
Yeah.
don't quite realize what's the benefit is of actually integrating them together.
So what is the benefit?
Well, here's the deal. If you use plain vanilla config manager, you normally end up having 15, 20 sequences with a lot of static information in them. And what MDT enables you to do is to enable something called dynamic deployments, is where you can have settings outside the sequences and simply feed them in during deployment. So you can build, for example, a list of applications, 15 apps. And you can say, if you belong to the marketing department, feed that list into the sequence. And the sequence will happily deploy them in the order they are in the list. And it simply enables you to be more creative and more dynamic when you do deployments. And then you also get a development framework so that you very quickly can do customizations. If you would write a script directly in Config Manager to, for example, query a database or a web service, we're talking about a few hundred lines of VB script.
Yeah.
With the framework, it's 3-4 lines in a text file, and you're done.
You can do all that stuff. There is, oh, let's verify that BitLocker is enabled. Oh, it's not enabled. Well, it should be, because this machine belongs to that following group, because we asked the Active Directory, and that machine belongs to the following organization, so it should have that. So let's enable BitLocker. And we enable that, and we BitLocker the machine, and we're going to fix all that. And at the same time, it happens to be an HP machine, and oh God, it's an HP machine. In that case, we need to install these HP tools. And it also belongs to the engineering group, and an engineering group, they need Visual Studio. So what you can do with dynamic deployment is avoiding the manual labor of building rules that is static, and you constantly need to change everything, to the, if I don't know anything, it's going to be right. And that's perfect. It's like, if you look at errors,
So
every error is human, right?
yeah.
When you automate things, you don't have any errors anymore.
I mean, MDT is adding well over 100 enhancements for OSD on top of Config Manager.
Okay.
So before you start writing your own custom actions and script, see if the thing that you are trying to do is not already in that package.
It always is. You know,
And that's the reason, for example, when you integrate those two and you create a new MDT-based task sequence in SCCM, you get a wizard like that.
Yeah.
Ready-made
Dynamic
features,
rules.
and you will pick and choose the features that you want. If you only want to use 2 of the 100, fine, use them, but not write those 2 yourself.
simple things like I was attending a customer and he was doing, in this case was MDT, but he didn't read on how custom settings.ini works. So he was like, oh, you know, I asked you about automatic generation of computer names. I said, yeah. I thought the things that you mentioned about the custom settings were too advanced. So I created a VB script. And that queries a database of the name, and then it sets the name, and I do all this, and it's like, so how many hours did you spend on creating that script? Oh, I don't know, a week, 2? Okay. You can also, in custom settings.ini, say OSD computer name equals percentage serial number percentage, and go like, oh, so you mean it's built in? I thought I was supposed to build something. No, you just... You know,
we have another story. We talked to a customer that want to implement regional settings in Config Manager, and Config Manager doesn't have a UI for that by default in the sequences. So they spent 4 days writing scripts to develop support for regional settings. Yeah, or they could have downloaded those ready-made scripts from Microsoft and set the one line in a text file.
So why are all these customers not aware of the MDT part then? Is that? But
it's simply they don't know.
They haven't visited your sessions. Maybe.
Exactly.
That's
why
one
they
reason.
I can give you the money now.
Yeah, but it's rather easy. I mean, the configuration manager team and the Windows team, they have all these. I mean, they have a budget, right? They have a commercial budget to making the marketing happy. If you look at the solution accelerator team, which is MDT is a part of, they are supposed to solve problems for certain customers in certain areas. The budget they have for marketing is zero, nothing. So they can't really advertise and say, hey, here's all the stuff you can have. If they could, they would. But they spend the money on developing the product, which means that it's supposed to be that the customer says, I have an issue. And the consultant should say, well, there's a solution accelerator for your issue. Here's the solution accelerator. I'm going to help you to install it. But they never ask. And if you don't ask, you don't get an answer.
Yeah, during one of your sessions, you were talking about buying a car.
Yes.
I really like that story because that actually perfectly explains the point.
We did have a customer asking about this. This was on an event, and I was, getting more and more frustrated. So eventually I said, okay, so it's like going to a car dealer. You buy a car, it costs you 100,000 euros. It's an expensive car. And then the car dealer says, would you like to have an extra powerful engine? Extra tires, a complete set of family in the back seat with really nice kids and a nice wife and a mistress too, and a nice stereo, and you will have all this for a value of 300,000 euros, and you go, no, I will just have the car, thank you. I'm going to get all the other stuff manually somewhere, and I'm going to, And
I want to make my own kids.
Yeah. Which could be okay, but the rest of the stuff is that, of course I want to have it for free. Is there any, issues around having it for free? Do I need to sign up? No, just, you can have it. How many people will say no to having a bigger, larger engine with winter tires and all the extra on the car for nothing? Nobody will say no, but they do that with MDT.
It's like a free beer. You don't say no.
Hey, you never say no to free beers.
No, never.
Hey, and then there's one more topic, and that is now we are used to deploy Windows 7. What happens if we want to deploy Windows 8? Do we have to do something special there? Is it already? Can we already do that now?
Oh, it's super special. Yeah, because when you type in the folder names,
you type in 8 instead of 7.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
But we do have a 3-day
That's too technical
training
for
on
me,
that.
dude.
Yeah, we have a 3-day training on how to change those names.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So here they are.
Yeah.
Problem number 1, Metro style is not an issue, but the Metro interface will be on top of the deployment process. You can't see when the deployment process is running. Solved by hide shell equals yes in custom settings.ini. Therefore, it's waiting for the shell to show up until the installation is done. That's issue number 1.
And all other issues will be fixed
Yeah.
when update 1 comes with MDT 2012, because that's fully support Windows 8. If you do want to deploy it now for lab and test, of course, you would not deploy that into
No.
your production laptop.
No.
No, we would never do that.
And SCCM, CTP for the SP1.
We'll
right?
also support Windows 8 finally when the service pack comes, but technically you can actually deploy it now. But there are 2 things you need to do if you want to do it now in the lab and test environment.
Yes,
Of course.
of course. No production environment Windows 8.
And the first one is to actually edit the unattended XML file so that it creates the temporary account being used during the deployment process, because there is a new item in unattended XML that is supposed to do that in Windows 8. It's currently not working.
Okay.
They will fix it. And then there is the key thing.
Yeah, product key.
When you download Windows 8 now,
Oh, there's a fixed key there? You need
well,
to
it's
enter,
a retail product. The one that you download, the professional, it's not a volume license, it's not an enterprise edition, it's a professional and it's retail. So you
that-
actually need to type in the product key in the unattended XML file too.
But that will be solved, of course, when Windows 8 releases.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's everything?
Yes.
Because the deployment process of Windows 8, Windows 7 is very similar.
Well, the
Yeah.
cool thing is that both MDT and Config Manager, when they support Windows 8, meaning in this SP1 timeframe for config and in the update 1 timeframe for MDT, they can also sideload Metro apps. So you can deploy Metro application through MDT and Config Manager.
So here's a good thing. If you are working at a company and the company says, yeah, we're going to do Windows 8 and we're going to create our own applications, you need to look up the word sideloading, because you need to understand that, and you would like to have the application in the AppX format for the developer. So the developer should hand over you the AppX file. If you have the AppX file, you will be able to inject that file into Microsoft Deployment Toolkit Update 2012 Update 1 as a pre-stage application. So you don't want to have the executable file anymore. You want to have the AppX file. And that's going to take some time to explain. for
We
people.
actually asked one of Michael's coworker for a Metro app that we want to demonstrate and play around with in TechEd Orlando. So we spent one lunch trying to install that application we got,
Yeah.
and we didn't get that AppX file. We got the source code. So we had to download Visual Studio and compile it and create the file, and then we can install. It's like, all right, thank you.
Can
So
you
next
just
time we
imagine-
just want the Apex file.
Yeah, can you just imagine 2 IT pros fiddling around in Visual Studio? It's like, okay, so where do you do stuff in this?
Hey, this is not your thing, right?
No, not really.
Well,
development.
I'm cheating. I develop web services, and for that I use Visual Studio.
So you were able to compile it,
Yes, with some help.
and then it deployed.
Yes,
Yes, and it worked. It didn't do anything, but it just worked.
we had a Metro app and we were happy.
Yep.
So next year, another TechEd, I think, for you guys as well.
Absolutely.
What kind of sessions are you already thinking about? New sessions,
Yep.
or is it
We are.
Windows 8, Apex
Uh,
stuff?
Michael may do, I don't.
You don't.
No, I will go into a coma after this TechEd for a while.
Are you allowed to go home then?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's good. Not everybody here is allowed to go home.
Yeah, but this summer we don't really have a vacation.
Well, we have a vacation.
Kind of.
We actually booked our 2 families on a vacation.
And then you stay home?
No, we will stay there as well, but we will not be where they are because we have scheduled 2 weeks for book writing.
Ah, nice. Oh, this is the time where you can spam us with this.
Yes.
You're writing a book?
Yep.
About Windows 8, about MDT 2012 Update 1.
Oh, cool.
So it will be released when Windows 8 will be released.
So if we want to know more about you guys, where do we go? Where do we go on the internet? Or do we
Internet,
follow you on
internet is
Twitter?
fine.
Yeah, internet's fine.
Internet is fine.
If you search for Bunny, because he's the deployment bunny,
The deployment bunny?
I'm
Yep.
not cutting.
No, no,
kidding.
no.
Uh, and deployment.
You guys don't amaze me anymore.
if you search for Bunny and deployment, you will find Michael.
Yes.
Okay.
If you search for my last name,
Arwidmark, yes?
Yes, with the W. And
Yeah.
deployment, you'll find me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Easy as that.
So his blog is deploymentresearch.com. It's very,
Strict.
professional and strict. And mine is deploymentbunny.com.
It's more,
it's more of a
open.
open-minded.
Well, guys, thank you very much again.
Thank you
It was
so
a
much.
pleasure.
Alex.
And hope to see you next year.
Yeah, next year.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thanks.